What is up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And today I am doing a draft review on the I almost said Oakland, the Las Vegas Raiders. I have done that so many times. I have not gotten it through my head. It will be 3 years from now and I will still be saying Oakland Raiders. I'm sorry. The Las Vegas Raiders. And first thing I do want to talk about is, did they come into this draft with a plan? And I think they did. They absolutely did in my mind. They came into this draft and they said, we are going to fix the wide receiver position, which I absolutely loved. When I was doing mock drafts for leading up to the draft on the podcast, Between the Pylons podcast, by the way, check it out. I did a mock and I had them taking receiver at number 12 and number 19. That's how bad I thought they needed a receiver. Now, on my board, it fell where they would get Judy and Justin Jefferson, which they technically could have done. And that made so much sense to me because they were not one receiver away. They probably weren't really two receivers away. They needed to add a lot of pieces onto this receiving core because it was not good last year. Obviously, Antonio Brown had a big part of that, but they had to fix that position. I think they did in a big way, and we're going to get to the picks a little bit later. Did they draft an offensive lineman within the first 4 rounds? I've said it in every single video that I've done, and I will say it here again. You cannot name a bad team with a good offensive line. So I really believe in that. I think there's just something to it. And they did. They took John Simpson out of Clemson with their 4th round pick. I think that was a really, really good pick for them. It was a guy that I was really hoping that my Miami Dolphins would get, actually. So that was awesome. And then of course the last pick was, did you get a part of the strength of this class? And of course the strength was wide receiver, and that was their biggest need coming into this class and their plan. So wide receiver, yes, of course they did do that. And let's get into it. Let's talk about the picks in the first 3 rounds for the Oakland Raiders here. With their very first pick, they did take Henry Ruggs at number 12 overall out of Alabama, making Henry Ruggs the first wide receiver taken, something that I don't think a lot of people would have guessed coming into the draft, that Henry Ruggs would be the top receiver. I know there was talked about and it was definitely a possibility, but at the end of the day, the upside of a CD or a Judy, I didn't believe would overtake Henry Ruggs, but it did, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, the Raiders play the Chiefs twice a year. They know firsthand how hard it is to prepare for speed. And it's one of those things that the NFL is going to value speed more than the average guy with a camera and a computer in front of him. So that's just the way it goes. I loved Henry Ruggs. I thought he was a very, very good pick and a very obvious top 3 receiver in this class. So I think the Raiders made a fantastic choice. Would have liked them to go CeeDee Lamb here. I thought CeeDee Lamb fit what they try to do more. I thought CeeDee Lamb fit that offense more, but at the end of the day, I can't blame them for going speed. I really can't. And then, of course, I think this was probably the first big surprise of the draft. At 19 overall, the Raiders take Damon Arnette, cornerback out of Ohio State. And that was a shock to me. Damon Arnette was not a guy that I had on my radar coming into the class, and I did a fair amount of work on the cornerback class. There was a lot of guys that were drafted a lot later than Damon Arnette that I did watch. I didn't watch him. I didn't. So that's something that I'm actually gonna do a full video on. So if you're really interested in my take on this pick, I'm going to do kind of a team fit draft profile style video. I don't know exactly what I'm going to name it yet, probably not that. And it's going to be all about that number 19 pick, Damon Arnette. So I'm not going to focus too much on that pick. Obviously, it was perplexing. I don't have a good answer for you as to why they would have made that decision. Is from what I've watched so far, seems like a good player. Maybe somebody that I probably should have watched. There's definitely some upside to him. At 19, though, man, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I have an answer. I really don't. And then with their next pick, we have to go all the way to the 3rd round. They take running back, wide receiver, quarterback, who knows what'll play, Lynn Bowden out of Kentucky. This is a guy who played wide receiver until his coach asked him to go to quarterback, and then he played quarterback for the rest of the year. And then I heard a rumor that he's going to be asked to move to running back I hope he plays receiver because I do think he can play, be a very good receiver. I think he's going to have to be kind of schemed in, and you're going to have some design plays for Lynn Bowden. But I mean, there's a lot that you can do with this guy, and I think it was a good pick in the third round. I probably would have gone other directions, but with their second pick in the third round, they went with a guy who I probably would have considered at 80, and they got back-to-back picks in the third round, and they went receiver technically with both of them. And with their second third-round pick, they did take Bryan Edwards out of South Carolina, and this is a guy who I absolutely loved. He was my number 11th wide receiver on the board coming in, and I knew I was higher on him than the rest of the NFL, by the way. I did know that, but he was just somebody that I just couldn't bring any lower. I had him at 11, and I felt like that was right. I felt like he probably could have even been higher on my list. That's how much I liked him. I was very excited about him, and I was very excited when he went in the third round because I didn't expect him to. I hadn't heard anything about this guy, and I think that just speaks to how incredibly deep this draft was at receiver. Guys like Bryan Edwards kind of got dropped by the wayside, but no one really wanted to talk about him, but he was a damn good receiver in college, and I think he's a very, very good prospect for the Raiders here. I absolutely love that pick, and I just love the idea of these three guys being on the field at the same time, all from this class. I think they are all starters. I think they all could come in and really be a difference maker right away. I'm very excited for what the Raiders did with this receiver core and with this class. And with their last pick in the third round, they did take a linebacker out of Clemson. Shocker, Mike Mayock went linebacker out of Clemson. I know. Tanner Muse out of Clemson. He popped a couple times when watching Isaiah Simmons film. He did. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I watched him coming into the draft. I had not watched him. I had not done any work on Tanner Muse. But like I said, he did pop a couple times when watching when watching Isaiah Simmons film, and the only reason I really knew that is because I actually watched a little bit of film on him preparing for this video, and I realized, oh shit, that's the guy that I actually had a note about to look up, but I never did. When guys pop on subsequent film, like I was watching Isaiah Simmons, and I wrote a little note that said look up number blank, and just for future reference, just for myself, and do a little bit extra research. And I never did it. I got busy and just forgot about it. But that's who this was, Tanner Muse. So I had watched him. I do like him. I think there's a lot of potential there. And again, it's a Clemson player going to the Raiders, which I think is going to become a very obvious trend. In Mike Mayock's first two drafts, that his love affair for Clemson is very, very clear. All right, guys, let's talk about some of the draft day moves that they made. They came into this class with 7 draft picks between rounds 1 and 5, and they left this class with 7 draft picks between rounds 1 and 4. So they did something right? They gave up no picks in future draft classes, and they were able to add value to their team. So you can kind of stop right there and know that Mike Mayock manipulated the draft very well. He did. I do want to get into the different moves that he made. The first move that he made was trading back with the Patriots, going from number 91 overall to 100 overall in the third round, and basically getting a 4th round pick for free and flipping 5th round picks, right? So it was a weird deal. I get the value for it. Not a trade that I feel like you see a whole lot, just as far as flipping 5th round picks and throwing in a 4th round pick. It was a very Patriot-esque type of trade. I feel like that's the kind of move that they make, where they give up as little value as they possibly can to move up in the draft, and that's exactly what I feel like they did there. And then in the 4th round, at the beginning of day 3, they actually paired that 5th round pick that they got from the Patriots in that flip that I talked about earlier with the 4th round pick that they already had, pick number 121, and moved up into the 4th round with the Lions at 109 and drafted John Simpson. I thought that was a great deal. It was a really, really good move. And it was kind of made better by the fact that a trade that they made the day before had made their fifth round pick worse. Like they went from picking at 159 in the fifth round to 172 in the fifth round, but it didn't actually matter because they just ended up sending that fifth round pick away anyway to move up. So I think that's cool. That's just the kind of stuff that I geek out about. I thought they maneuvered the draft very, very well. And that's a big thing for me. I want to see teams, regardless of the picks that they make, if I like or dislike it, because that's all a crapshoot. They get paid a lot more money than I do to watch the film and grade these players, and they have more access to these guys. So it would make sense that they have a little bit more knowledge on the type of guys that they're picking. So if I hate a pick, that doesn't really mean a whole lot. As long as they like it and they believe in the guy that they picked, that's all that matters. But the thing that I can grade and that I can talk about with impunity is the way that they maneuver the draft, because you can't hide behind anything with that. You can get unlucky with draft picks. Guys can get hurt. It's all crapshoot anyway. So that's whatever. That's based on 3-4 years down the line. But as far as right now, grading the draft, you can't hide behind anything. I can look at the decisions you made, at the moves you made, and say whether or not you handled the draft well. And for Mike Mayock and the Raiders, they handled the draft very well. As far as my favorite move for the Raiders, it was that trade up in the fourth round for really two reasons. One, I thought there was excellent value behind it and the way they were able to get that done. Two, it caused a little bit of a mini run on guards, right? So it was just very good draft awareness and awareness of the players that they were interested in, to see that a tackle had just gone off the board. There was probably a couple guards left that they liked. They went up and got John Simpson, and then it forced the Dolphins to move up to 111, which was 2 spots later, to take a guard as well. So it kind of caused a ripple effect, which I love stuff like that, where one move causes another team to move and things like that. And you can kind of see a little bit of a microcosm there where that happened with the Raiders and the Dolphins. And I think that kind of stuff is cool. My least favorite move is, of course, the Damon Arnette pickup. I'm not going to pretend to understand that. If you think that was a really good move, or you have any thoughts on that pick or any other picks for the Raiders, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And as far as the biggest surprise, it was Ruggs over CD for me. Coming into the draft, I talked about it on the podcast. I had talked about it and probably on on YouTube as well, about how I really believed the Raiders were targeting CD Lamb, and part of that is, that's the power of smokescreen and the way there's just nothing that you can trust with the draft. But I feel like I'm pretty good at deciphering through that, and I missed on that. I really believed CD Lamb was the pick for them. I didn't think there was any way that CD Lamb fell past 12 to me, and obviously he did, and that's perfectly fine. But I was definitely surprised for sure. As far as a grade for this draft, I am going to give it an A-. I know that seems a little bit crazy because of the Devin Arnette trade, that got a lot of attention, a lot of buzz. At the end of the day, I think that's one pick, and I think they're probably privy to more information about him than I am. If they fell in love with their guy, they got their guy, and is a position of need. Again, I don't love it. That's probably why it's an A-, but the rest of their draft was really, really good. I love a team that comes in the draft and says, we are going to fix this. We are going to be better this next year than last year at one position, because we are going to take as many guys as we need to make sure that we improve. And at wide receiver, they did that. They said, hey, we're going to take Henry Ruggs, and then the third round at pick number 80 and 81, we're going to double down. We're going to take Lynn, Bowden, the utility knife at wide receiver, and Bryan Edwards, one of my favorite underrated players in this whole draft class. So you can't not love the decisions they made. I think as a Raiders fan, you have to admire what Mike Mayock is doing. I think he's making the right decisions. I'm still on the fence about John Gruden in his place with the Raiders. I know they paid him a lot of money. He's going to be there for a long time. I'm on the fence about how good of a decision that was. But man, Mike Mayock, he is proving that you can find some talent from the TV guys, man. I think he's doing the right thing there in Las Vegas. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe this video. Comment below if you have any thoughts about the Raiders draft class and what you liked, what you didn't like. Let me know, and please check back for more videos in the future. Peace out, guys. Bye.